I want to talk about the 5 teams I think are poised to make a run at the national championship this season. So we're going to get straight to the list. Start at number 5, go to number 1. You know how we do. Number 5, I got Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss Rebels. This, I think, is going to catch some people off guard, and I'm fine with that. Because I watched a lot of Ole Miss football last year, more than I thought I was going to watch because they were good. They had their first 11-win season in school history last year. They've been playing football for over 100 years in the state of Mississippi. Okay, the SIP ain't never been this good. All right. Then add into this their losses: Alabama, Georgia. Good football program, right? You know what I'm saying? The 2 teams playing the SEC championship game. Ole Miss is right there, right? And given what Jackson Dart has shown, I think they got a spot. Now, here's the problem. The problem is Quinshawn Judkins has since transferred, right? But Ulysses Bentley has come back. I think that's a great move. If Logan Diggs, who transferred from LSU, can also help them out, you can probably get some similar production, although Quinshawn Judkins is an elite talent. They also made their offensive line a priority. And while nobody was looking, they added a couple of Washington offensive linemen off last year's team, the one that won the Joe Moore Award. And then Pete Golding did his job recruiting for the defense, landing the best non-quarterback available outside of Caleb Downs, right, and Walter Nolan out of A&M. So they are loading up and they're ready to go in as far as what the transfer portal can do for them. It's, can these pieces mesh together this spring and into the summer? And knowing that Alabama might take a step back, can you beat up on a Georgia if you got to go see them, right? What is Ole Miss going to be able to do against Oklahoma? Those sorts of things. But I think if you're Lane Kiffin and you're Pete Golding, you feel like this is the year. This is the magic year. This is the one that you have been building toward. And the portal has given Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss a leg up that they never had. Like I mentioned the 11-win part. That is because they can go into the portal and pull out guys that they can't normally recruit to the University of Mississippi. That's not a small thing. So taking advantage of the landscape as it is actually what Lane Kiffin is best at. Even as he is moaning and complaining about the state of college football, I'm going, hey, look, dog, you weren't that good at Tennessee. You weren't that good at SC. You were this good at Ole Miss because of the portal. All right? Let's not bite the hand that feeds. Let's see if Ole Miss can get it going in 2024. Number 4 on the list. Let's go all the way out west to a team playing in the Midwest. That's the Oregon Ducks. I like Oregon. I like Dan Lanning. I understand that they're losing Bo Nix, but they got a guy coming in that I think is going to be pretty good. They also added another guy that I thought had all the talent in the world at quarterback, Dante Moore. And then on the offensive side, you still get to keep Will Stein, who is a great play caller. I think that guy's going to be in position to put his name in the hat once again for the Broyles Award, if not for a head coaching job. You're able to retain your defensive coordinator, Antosh Lapoy. You're getting all the support necessary to go into the Big Ten as a contender. As a matter of fact, of the 4 teams that are going to the Big Ten now, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington, I think Oregon is the one to watch in as far as being able to make some noise there. Remember when Mario Cristobal was head coach at Oregon, they went to Columbus and they beat Ohio State without Kayvon Thibodeau on the field. Okay. Dan Lanning is every bit the guy capable of doing that. And I love knowing that he is going to be aggressive in the portal and he's going to be aggressive recruiting and that he's going to be at Oregon for as long as they want him to be at Oregon. I think this is going to be a team that we're all pretty closely watching, given what they have added in the portal, given what Dan Lanning is about. And if that defense can really step up, I think they got a shot to win the Big Ten championship, not just punch a ticket to the college football playoff, but get one of those automatic bids, which would lead you to, we think, a bye in the new model. Number 3 on the list, one of the University of Texas. Some of this has to do with what Texas was able to do in 2023. Some of this has to do with Steve Sarkisian getting $10 million annually, coach the University of Texas. But most of this has to do with the talent that is always up and down Texas. Like, that's been the thing. Texas has always been one of the most talented teams in football, but they have, for the last few years, underperformed. Last year was not that year. Last year, they answered the bell, right? They went on the road and they beat Nick Saban in Alabama by double digits in Tuscaloosa, right? That's not a small thing. You get Quinn Ewers back. You're adding to that wide receiver core. You're adding to that defense. Yes, you're going to lose some dudes, but everybody loses some dudes. And you're still going to be able to go into the portal in the spring, fill out some gaps. But I think the cohesion that he's going to have in that quarterback room, the cohesion that he's going to have on that defense, being able to retain most of your staff, right, is not a small thing. I expect Texas to be right there battling with Ole Miss, battling with Georgia, and then we'll see, right? There's a lot of question mark for me inside the SEC. I don't think things are going to be the way that they have always been. For instance, if Florida ups and, demolishes what probably is the most difficult schedule in college football history, we're having a different conversation, right? Like, that's the thing. I'm looking at the SEC and I'm going, yo, Texas, you getting off light. You really are. Like, the toughest game they got is Georgia coming to them. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to march through and you're going to get the SEC championship, your first year might be your best opportunity to do this, given what the talent is and what Steve Sarkisian is capable of with that program. Number 2 on the list, Georgia Bulldogs. That is penciled in. Okay, that's the 1 seed. That's the team we all think is going to win the SEC championship game. Some of this has to do with Kirby Smart. Some of this has to do with Carson Beck. Most of this has to do with they are rock solid, airtight, watertight at every position. They're really good. They're really, really good. And they always seem to come up with guys that seem to fly under the radar that overperform for them. Like Daijun Edwards, for instance, right? Running back at Georgia was not that highly thought of as a recruit. Turns out to be one of your better tailbacks. And then you'll land a guy like Brock Bowers. I think that is where Georgia has excelled and really where Kirby Smart became the guy that Nick Saban always thought he would. He will scour the earth for the best possible players to be Georgia Bulldogs. If that means going to Napa, California to go get a tight end, he's going to do that. And then if that dude shows himself to have the talent, he'll play him as a true freshman. I love knowing that Georgia wants to win football games more than they want to do anything else. And that's why they're terrified. That's why they're scary, right? Is you got a guy like Carson Beck who could go to the NFL draft, but wants to spend the next year at Georgia because he doesn't believe that he's a guy that helped win those other 2 national championships with Kirby Smart. That's Stetson's team. He wants to do it as a quarterback. That's remarkable, right? I think having that kind of want to in your program really feeds into everything else you're going to do. And then number 1, the Ohio State Buckeyes. After losing to Michigan for a 3rd straight time and then watching the Wolverines go undefeated as national champs, Ryan Day has made some decisions. One of those decisions was that he no longer needs to be calling the plays. And I kind of respect and love this at the same time. I say respect because it's a man that is understanding that his job is much bigger than having the best offense possible. And perhaps because he was so in tune with that offense in years past and tried to let it go just a little bit in 2023, it did not perform to the expectations that we have come to have for an Ohio State offense in 2023. However, if Ryan Day is going to hand off play calling privileges, he needs to hand them off to somebody who's at least as good as he is. Which is why when Bill O'Brien was the first guy that he picked for that job, everybody's kind of looking around like, I don't know if that's the move, my dude. I don't know. Are you a better play caller than Bill O'Brien? And it's not really about him being a better play caller. It's about, can this dude do the job well enough for us to win against Michigan? Okay. Bill O'Brien's since become the head coach at BC, which meant that he got to go, I think, make the best hire possible for Ohio State as offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly, right? Chip Kelly, a guy that helped raise Ryan Day. Ryan Day played quarterback for him at New Hampshire. They are tremendously great friends. They were not relishing the opportunities of playing against each other in the Big Ten. And I think Ryan Day can breathe relief knowing that Chip Kelly's running the offense with that personnel, because that is the guy that you would point to, be like, no, I don't have to worry about it because Chip's got it. I don't have to overlook the play calling sheets. I don't need to know what he is planning to do against said team. And he can be a head coach, right? He can be engaged in all facets of what it is. And as that season wears on, particularly for Ohio State, the closer you get to Michigan, the more Ryan Day is going to be pulled in a million different directions. And I'm not going to sugarcoat seeing Ross Bjork come in at Ohio State and then fire men's basketball coach Chris Holtmann, sending him out with $12 million, means that, yeah, that dude is going to pull the trigger if he does not think that you are the guy to get it done. He did it with Jimbo Fisher, sending him down the road with $77 million, right? The money ain't the thing, and Ryan Day gets that. So what has he also done? He has gone into the portal like only an Ohio State coach could. We want the best possible players to come to Ohio State. What do we have to do to get them to come? So he got Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. He got Caleb Downs, who I think is the best defensive back in the entire sport, to come on down, right? Continue to look around at the guys that he lost, and they don't really feel like they're losing a lot. Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And then you look around and you go, Julian Fleming was the number 1 rated wide receiver in 2020 class. He's transferred to Penn State. They might not miss him. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Kyle McCord was your starting quarterback. He won every game but the one they played against Michigan. He has since transferred. It's fine. You are not only good at quarterback, you're full at quarterback. You go from having Lincoln Kienholz having to come in for a hurt Devin Brown in the Cotton Bowl to adding 2 outstanding true freshmen in Aaron Nolan and Julian Sayin, and then a great grad transfer, right, to fill this out. You have options. You have given yourself the best possible roster to go into battle with in 2024. But after going ham in the portal and after tapping Chip Kelly to be the play caller, it's still about November 30th in Columbus. That's the season. And I hate saying that because we play 12 games, but there's only one that they care about at Ohio State, and he has to win it. Last year, I thought it was asinine that people were going, maybe Ryan Day is not the guy. I'm going, that dude's a missed field goal away from basically winning the national championship, all right? Like, it was that close. To now he's lost 3 in a row to Michigan. We have people going, okay, a 4th in a row will not be at all taken into account. Like, we're just going to let it go. And I'm thinking about this from a fan's perspective. At Ohio State, it is not what have you done? It is what have you done for me lately? It's not a judgment, and it's not me looking down on anybody. That is just a fact. That's how they get down, and it works for them, right? They've always been able to recruit at a high level. They've always been able to get good coaches, and they are not afraid to let a guy walk that wins 9 games but loses to Michigan, right? Like John Cooper, for instance, right? It can happen to him. I don't want it to happen to Ryan Day because I think he's perfect for the job. And I think nobody wants to win a national championship at that place more than he does. But to do that, you got to beat Michigan. And Michigan doesn't have Jim Harbaugh. They're losing J.J. McCarthy. They're losing a ton of talent off of that offense and that defense. Coordinators are gone. This is the year where you ought to get back to beating Michigan like a drum if you're an Ohio State fan. We'll find out if that is true. And if it is, I'm willing to bet that Ohio State is into the college football playoff with a shot to win the whole damn thing in 2024. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.